Hello everyone! I'm going to show you all how to do a front post double crochet, and this is an example swatch of just doing all front post double crochets, and doing so it kind of creates these lines that pop out on the back. So I've never personally dealt with any pattern that had you do anything where you're doing multiple in a row like this. Typically it's a technique like a waffle stitch where you can do a bunch of different things, and like I said, where it pops up and stuff like that. But I have just this practice swatch so that you can get used to doing the technique and just get a feel, because when it does pop up it can kind of be random, and it's nice to know what you're doing when you're doing a specific stitch and be like, oh yeah, I remember this one, you know. So I have this practice that you can kind of work on to get that in. I'm going to be using an H hook. It really doesn't matter what hook size you use for this because we are just practicing, but definitely use a hook size specifically for your yarn. And I definitely recommend using acrylic yarn if you're still new. And that's what I'm using, is acrylic 4 weight. So you want to get a slip knot going. If you've never done any crocheting or are unfamiliar with how a slip knot or how chaining or any of those types of things, I would definitely recommend checking out my playlist down in the description box where I have all my very beginner videos. So check that out before doing all this, just to get more of a feel for things. But we're going to do slip knot, and now we're going to chain 24. Alright, I have my 24 chains. Make sure to count that you actually do have 24. So now what we'll do is we're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So we don't count the one that is on our hook here, so that doesn't count. So we got 1, 2, 3, and this one is our 4th one. So we're going to double crochet into that stitch. Now we're going to double crochet all the way across. If you're unfamiliar with on how to double crochet, check out my other video on where I cover double crochet. It'll be very helpful with following with this, because this does consist mostly of double crochet. So do double crochet in every single chain all the way across. I just finished doing all of my double crochet in every single stitch all the way across. You should have a stitch count at this point of 21 because we had skipped a couple of those chains in the beginning. So definitely make sure that you've got that going on, because that'll help keep your stitch count all matched up to mine and help you the rest of the swatch. So make sure you have that. So now we're going to chain 3 and then turn. Now this is where we're going to start doing our front post double crochet. To do a front post double crochet, you will still be double crocheting, it's just where you're going to be putting your stitch. So usually when we double crochet, we're working into each of these stitches. But to do a front post double crochet, you're going to yarn over like you were to do a normal double crochet. But you're going to find where your double crochets were worked right here, that stitch. You're going to insert in between. So you got one right here, and you got one right here. So you're going to insert your hook in between those two. But then you're also going to kind of bring it behind that double crochet. You'll grab your yarn, pull it through all the way from behind that stitch. So it's just like we are doing a double crochet now. Yarn over and pull through those first 2. Yarn over and pull through those last 2. And there's your first front post double crochet. So let's do this again. So you're going to yarn over. So this is the one we just worked. This is our next double crochet. So we're going to insert right there in that hole to come behind that double crochet. You'll yarn over and pull through behind, that goes behind there. You'll yarn over, pull through the first two, yarn over, pull through the last two. So really, you're still double crocheting, you're just trying to work it behind each of these little post stitches. So you just do that all the way across. Alright, so I've been working on all my little front post double crochets all the way across here, and I don't know if you're supposed to do this or not, but this is what I've been doing for my little swatch just to keep the stitch count even. So this is our last little part where we did our chaining and stuff. I still treat this as if it is a double crochet and do it in that one as well on the end, just to keep our stitch count at the same and even on both sides. Now you'll start noticing that little bump I was talking about, where it just kind of creates this little line, which I think is actually really cool if, you know, you're wanting to do something a lot bigger. It might be fun as like a texture for a blanket or for a scarf, or just for fun, just to have texture. If you like a lot of texture, this would be a really fun way to do that. So now, after you've made sure that you've got 21 stitches, counting all the way across, you're going to chain 3 and turn. And now you're just going to double crochet regularly across. So I skipped the first one, just every time we're doing the double crochet like that, because we've got our chain 3 there, and that's kind of like a double crochet. So you'll just double crochet all the way to the end. Alright, so I'm coming up here on my last 2 stitches here. That might be a little tricky. So this is our one that definitely looks like our last double crochet right here. So we'll work our double crochet there. And then we're back to our chain. So I like to do another double crochet right on the top of that chain to keep our stitch count at 21. Because it can be kind of tricky with finding those little stitches on the end, because they like to hide a little bit. So after doing those last 2 stitches like that, you should have 21. We'll chain 3 again. And then we'll do our front post double crochet again. So most of this is just a 2-row repeat, where you'll do your double crochet 1 row, and then you'll work into those front posts of those double crochet from that previous row. So you'll just keep repeating that. And then you'll end up getting that swatch that I showed you. So you're welcome to keep going and doing it and make a long, you can make a scarf this way if you like that little stripe thing, or you can get creative or just get your practice in, because like I said, these things pop up sometimes, but it's nice to get a feel on how they work. Thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful in learning how to do the front post double crochet. Please drop in the comments if you struggled, or if you would like a more slower or more in-depth tutorial. Also, drop in the comments if there's a tutorial that you would like me to cover that I haven't yet on crocheting or any other DIYs.